Hello, this is Janet Michael. In addition to hosting The Valley Today each weekday at noon on the River 95.3, I also produce podcasts, and I'm excited to introduce you to a new podcast series in partnership with Lord Fairfax Community College. Having provided higher education and career training for the past half-century, LFCC is tightly interwoven into the fabric of the Northern Shenandoah Valley and Piedmont regions. Join me every week for conversations with current and former students to hear their funny and inspiring stories as we learn about their journey to higher education, the role that LFCC has played, where they are now, and where they plan to go. We'll also talk to current and former professors about their experiences and best memories of LFCC over the past 50 years. Get every single episode as they're released on our website at theriver953.com under the podcast tab, or you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, on Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for LFCC Stories. Hello and welcome to The Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Thursday. As you are listening to the show today, we, however, have pre-recorded our conversation on the Zoom screen, but that is not going to stop us from participating in our community health series in partnership with Valley Health that happens the third Thursday of every single month, and sometimes a couple times more. For example, I am going to be speaking with Dr. Fight on Monday the 28th about the COVID vaccine. So the cool part about being a partner with Valley Health is I have access to all kinds of people with all kinds of cool information and ideas. Today is going to be another one of our radiotherapy days. Since the holidays are just around the corner, we are going to get some tips and suggestions for celebrating the holidays safely and hopefully sanely. We've got Laura Walls on the Zoom screen with us. She is with the Behavioral Health Senior Outpatient Services at Shenandoah Memorial Hospital, and Tiffany Markwood is with Behavioral Health in Winchester. Thank you, ladies, for meeting up with me on the Zoom screen today. How are you guys doing?
Great. Snow is in the air. I can smell it.
Yes, I'm excited to, if we're going to be stuck inside, at least it's going to give us something pretty to look at. I'm so excited.
Well, it's funny. I've joked with a lot of my guests that I have already kind of made the executive decision that we're going to go Zoom through at least the spring, just because COVID or no COVID, because of the weather. And it used to stress me out when they were calling for bad weather. And how am I going to get to the station? Is my guest going to be able to be there? It's a live show. What do I do? So I had thought this is going to be great because the weather won't matter anymore. And wouldn't you know, I had an actual live show scheduled for Wednesday because my guest is a regular and he has recovered from COVID. So I know he's not a threat to me in any way, shape, or form. And now they're calling for snow and we're going to have to pre-record it too.
Yep.
2020.
Exactly.
So, ladies, we are coming up on the Christmas holidays, a time where a lot of people get together with family and friends. They travel, they party, they do all kinds of things, and none of that is probably a safe, smart decision to be making in this day and age. So you guys have some tips and some suggestions to maybe make it a little more fun, even if we do have to stay home with the people we're sick of living in the house with.
Well, and that kind of brings us to the first suggestion that we have, and that is, take this opportunity to do something different, create some new traditions, maybe do something that is out of the norm for you. One of the suggestions that I had with a client was doing an indoor camping situation where they set up their tent in the family room and they had sleeping bags and all that jazz for New Year's Eve, because they were used to having, this big, a lot of people come over and they count down and it's a whole big thing. So we talked about, you can do s'mores in the microwave, you can do indoor scavenger hunts. There can be all sorts of really interesting and fun things that you can do if you start to think out of the box, and we're so used to having our set traditions, and while that's wonderful and those traditions will be available to us next year, they just really, a lot of them aren't going to be available to us in 2020.
And Pinterest has so many ideas, all of the things that even over the years you have pinned and said, hey, I want to do this one year at Christmas. And then, of course, the regular things take over. This is a great time to revisit that Pinterest board or go create a brand new one and find some cool stuff to do.
I really like that
Absolutely.
idea so much. And it's something that, without even putting it in those terms, it's exactly what we've been doing in our house, of take the opportunity to do something new and different that you don't normally do, that would be fun, but you don't normally do it because you don't have time, because you're busy running around all these places and all these things. You know, there's a particular item we usually bake, and we were kind of feeling down about it because we can't give it away like we normally do because of all the restrictions. Like in the schools, you can't take in baked goods right now and share with your teachers. So we came up with some other ideas, you know, building a gingerbread house as a family, and some other things that we're really excited about that we've never done before. And so you're kind of making a new memory and letting that be a focal point and something to reflect on, instead of only the drudgery of the sadness of everything we've missed out on.
I saw on the news this week where they imploded a Holiday Inn in Northern Virginia or DC somewhere. So you could build a gingerbread house and then implode it. I think that would be the greatest memory ever.
I'll have to look into that.
And your kids would be over the moon to do something like that, I am sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's key too, Laura, because, you know, we're not going to be able to do things the way that we always have. I think a lot of us are used to that now. I think from a work perspective, we've kind of gotten into a new groove, but it is tough sometimes to let those old things go and embrace the new things. But that's really what we're going to have to do to get through the holiday season.
Absolutely. And this is where it's really important to work on not shoulding on ourselves about all of these things that well, it should be this way and it should be that way. And why can't we? And this is terrible and all that sort of stuff. And oftentimes, when we can't do some of the things that we traditionally do, we tend to sort of idealize those things and be like, oh, I'm not going to get to go to Aunt Ermintrude's and have that horrible fruit cake that I always hate eating. And so instead of, idealizing those things, to just kind of say, well, we're going to take a break from eating the Aunt Ermintrude's holiday loaf, and we are going to do something different. We're going to, have our very own great British bake off in our own home. And, only the coolest people get to be the judges.
And you don't have to share. See, Tiffany's idea of making things and taking them to the teachers, I am all in for just not sharing anything and staying home and eating it all myself. Because we do that a lot.
For me.
Yes, we make a chocolate covered peanuts, and I do them every year. I make them in the crock pot, and they have become exhausting, quite frankly, every year to make. And there's never any left for me to enjoy at the end of the season. And I'm like, I didn't even get to have any this year. So this year we're making them, and I'm not sharing them with anybody. But you're right. You got to find that creative workaround to do something that you've always done before, but just maybe do it a little differently. I think in the list of tips that you had sent over to me ahead of time, Laura, you were talking about how to, if you go to the movies normally on Christmas Day, how you can make that an in-home fun event anyhow.
Absolutely. Tiffany, I know you and your family did that at the beginning of the pandemic. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you did that?
Yes, sometimes we think about, how we're going to spend our money, and things are a little bit expensive. And some of these movies that have decided to release in the home, but you pay a fee to watch it. And we thought, we're kind of missing out on some of those experiences we would normally have. And the cost of watching the movie at home is really probably less than what we would have spent had we gone out. And so it's really reframing and changing the narrative, and not looking at it as a stressful, oh, we have to pay to watch this at home, but say, oh, we get to watch this at home. And isn't that fun? And we can do different things that we can't do at the theater. We can wear whatever we want. We can push pause and take a break whenever we want. We can make the snacks we want, and really just change that recorder in our mind and look at it from a positive standpoint.
Because we get stuck in how we've always done it. And probably early on, we thought, I wish we could do this. But then we forget how we wished we could do something differently in the beginning because we do get so used to how we do it now. And yeah, I am all about that push and pause because I can't sit through a 2-hour movie. I've missed out on so many movies because I don't go to the theater because I can't sit still that long. This way, it is perfect.
My favorite part is I can sip as much as I want on my drink and not be anxious about, oh, what if I have to use the restroom?
Well, and to add to that, my favorite part is that what I'm drinking doesn't necessarily have to be under 21 friendly. It can be over 21 friendly while I'm watching it.
Perfect. Bring your own beverages.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, can we talk about some more tips and some more suggestions?
Absolutely. Okay. I'm nodding my head real vigorously, and I realized they can't see me nod my head.
I was going to say that after we went to break. I wasn't going to call you out on the air that you were doing that. But since you did it, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back in a couple of minutes. We're going to continue our conversation with Laura Walls. She is with Behavioral Health Senior Outpatient Services at Shenandoah Memorial Hospital. Also on the Zoom screen with us is Tiffany Markwood. She is with Behavioral Health in Winchester. We're going to get more tips on how you can celebrate the holidays safely during COVID-19 when we come back in just a couple of minutes.
Got a financial decision to make or a goal to reach, but you don't know where to start? You've come to the right place. Introducing Quick Money Chats with the Northern Shenandoah Valley Financial Education Program. Visit tinyurl.com/quickmoneychat to schedule a virtual chat with a staff member or trained volunteer. We won't tell you what to do, but we will give you the tools you need to choose wisely. And because Virginia Cooperative Extension is part of Virginia Tech and Virginia State, your land-grant universities, you can be sure that our information is credible and trustworthy. And you'll know that we aren't trying to sell you something. Maybe you want to improve your credit score, or reduce your banking overdraft fees, or even figure out if you can afford to buy that car. Sorting through tons of information on the internet can be overwhelming, and sometimes it can be hard to know who to trust. Schedule a Quick Money Chat and get the information you need to take action. Go to tinyurl.com/quickmoneychat and get financial education personalized for you.
Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Thursday as you are listening to the show today. This is part of our community health series in partnership with Valley Health, where we chat on the third Thursday of every month with someone from Valley Health. Today is our radiotherapy. So we are on the Zoom screen today with Tiffany Markwood. She is with Behavioral Health in Winchester. Joining her is Laura Walls. She is with Behavioral Health Senior Outpatient Services at Shenandoah Memorial Hospital. And we are talking about ways that you can still celebrate and be happy during the holidays, even if it's not the same way that we have done it for the last 5 years or 50 years. And Tiffany, during the break, we were talking about how we were laughing that you were nodding when we went to break and forgetting that it was radio, and talking about how important laughter is right now during this time.
Absolutely. And, a lot of the coping strategies we talk about during this time, Laura and I were talking earlier, are really helpful to us during lots of stressful events in our life when things happen that we can't control and we can't fix immediately. And it's tough. And this is definitely an example of that. But with laughter, for stress relief, I just did a quick search and the Mayo Clinic had some, information about laughter and how it has mental benefits and physical benefits and increases your oxygen intake and your endorphins, and it helps you with your stress response. And sometimes we don't feel like laughing, or there might not be something in this moment that's causing a really genuine laugh to come out. Hanging out with you guys was just great, but I don't always have that option though. So, we talk about things like YouTube and platforms like that, where you can just kind of type in, a comedian that maybe you used to watch, or maybe your mom used to watch, or your grandparents used to watch, and just, it's so great to have this technology at our fingertips and use it for our benefit like that. And Google some of those names and watch some clips of some funny TV shows from back in the day and just laugh. Just give yourself that opportunity, and that, just set some time aside to just prioritize that.
It's funny that you say that. My husband, the only social media network he uses is Twitter. And he originally started using it just so he could follow the Orioles. He knew what was going on in baseball. And now he's gotten into it a little bit more. And he follows somebody on Twitter that posts videos of dogs on TikTok, which is like the funniest thing using one social media to get to another. But it's these dogs telling stories in the voice of Siri. And they are the most hilarious voices because you have these cute little dogs talking about how they ran into the pond and their owner had to come and get them and she was not happy at all. It is hilarious. So you can find laughter everywhere on the internet.
Yes, absolutely. I heard about fainting goats the other day. I didn't even know what that was.
They are awesome. They are, yeah.
The thing, apparently, like theory dogs.
And Laura, one of your suggestions too was just get in the car and go for a drive. You don't have to stay in the house. You can get out and go ride around and look at Christmas lights.
Absolutely. And in fact, recently, speaking of social media, there's a Facebook group that just recently posted all the best lights to go look at in the Winchester, Frederick County region. So it has light displays that are definitely, formalized, but it also just has like neighborhoods, including like one block over from me that is totally Griswolded out. One of them, my daughter said, "That one hurts my eyes, Mom. It hurts my eyes." So, there are just, I think in a way that people are using this time when they're kind of stuck at home and getting some of their energy out and celebrating in that way, because I definitely see people, taking a little extra time with their outdoor lights. I think we can all sort of use the little bit of pick me up right now. And it's amazing how many of the traditional light displays have adapted during this time to help us to be able to participate during COVID. So I think that absolutely going for a drive, it's funny, that's a holiday tradition in my family already.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I know it's not for a lot of people. Like every Christmas Eve, everybody gets in their jammies and they get their designated hot beverage, and we drive around and look at all the Christmas lights because most everybody has them on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
So, it was a little more fun when they were like in the cute little footy pajamas. Now it's a little bit more like forced family fun, but that's okay.
Yes.
Well, and it's funny because we were talking during the break too about all of the things that so many of us have probably come to appreciate since we've been home more. And I think that's more parents than it is necessarily the kids. But sometimes we can appreciate something, but we don't celebrate it. And that's what we really need to do right now is find reasons to celebrate the fact that everybody is at home. Everybody maybe is healthy. Everybody is there with you to celebrate in your house. It's the little things that you really have to look for and find and then blow them up into something that's great, fun, and cool.
And we don't always recognize that there are lots of things that we can still just adapt, like, Christmas gift exchanges. So, most everybody is shipping their gifts, but there's no reason why you can't have a scheduled time that you do your gift exchange, just like if you were all in the same room. And it's somebody's turn and then somebody else's turn, and then you get to see the person's reaction to your gift, which is 90% of why we buy people gifts anyway. At least I hope so. And so, seeing how excited they get or how surprised they are by something. So, I think that there are still so many ways that we can adapt traditions if we allow ourselves to step out of the box and say, how can I make this work for me? How can I make this work for my family?
I had a friend of mine who they did that at work and they still did the exchange and they put all of the boxes on a table in their parking lot. And one by one, people got out of their car. They would go find their box on the pile. They would open it. And then whoever had given them that gift in the car could see them open it. Then they would go back to their car and somebody else would get out of their car and go. And it was the most, when she was telling me this story, I'm thinking, this is the most convoluted thing I've ever heard. But she said they had a blast texting
I
each
bet.
other in their cars, even though they were just sitting and parked right next to each other. So you can find joy in the smallest of crazy things.
It's really fun.
Absolutely.
Creating a moment to look back on, so we don't just remember the bad part of it, but we have these fun little things we can remember that never would have happened.
So what about New Year's Eve? I mean, Laura, you touched on it earlier in our conversation. You know, New Year's Eve is one of those things where, Christmas aside, people come together to celebrate a new year. And I know we all want to celebrate a new year. We all have very high hopes. I'm a little concerned with how
Yes.
high my hopes are for 2021, but still, are there things that we can do to kind of get through the new year without making it seem like we're just trying to get through to the new year?
Well, I think it's, I think that one of the suggestions that I have is, instead of lamenting that you can't do it, just postponing it. And, maybe even send out like a save the date for sometime in the spring, and think about all the things that you can do at that party that you couldn't do if it really was New Year's Eve. Like maybe your pool will be open, or maybe you can, you can have an outside barbecue or something like that. That you obviously would probably not be doing on New Year's Eve. And so, it gives you time to plan and be creative. It gives people time to, set aside time on their schedule. And also, I think in that same vein, just spending your time on New Year's Eve to think about what your bucket list for 2021 is. It can be big things like taking a trip, or small things like, I just want to go to, like my favorite coffee shop and lounge around and drink my coffee and talk to people without wearing a mask, and without worrying about if I'm giving them germs or they're giving me germs. Or being able to walk in a store and not like have a freak out response when someone coughs. So I think it really can be, lots of things. And I agree with you, Janet. 2021, that girl's got her work cut out for her.
Right. And it's funny that you say that too, because I'm a smiler. When we go out, to Walmart, or I go to Target, or do any of the kinds of shopping and stuff that we have to do, I'm one of those people that if we weren't wearing masks, you'd see I just smile at you as I'm walking in, and we happen to see each other, and you can't tell now that I'm smiling at you because the mask is covering my face. So one of my goals on my bucket list is to smile even more, so that people will then know, hey, somebody is happy to see me, even if my wife wanted me out of the house or my husband wanted me gone.
It's so funny how we forget that people can't see our facial expressions, because I am, of course this is radio, so people can't see me, but as a therapist, we use our facial expressions a lot in our communication. We're reading other people's verbal, nonverbal cues, and we're creating our own to create compassion and all those sorts of things. And it took me probably 2 months into the pandemic to stop smiling at everybody, because I was smiling and then realizing, wait, why am they can't see me. So
Right.
or like when the mom of the screaming toddler is looking like, oh Lord, please let the floor swallow me up, I would be making a very empathetic face and being like, you're doing great, Mom.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, exactly. I've got two just like that at home.
Yeah, right. I know. And it's funny that, I was telling you ladies about the new puppies earlier. I have learned over the course of the last couple of months, I'm asking people that are talking about events if they're pet friendly. I never ever considered asking that question before. And now I feel like I am that mom that wants to know, I'm really, really sorry the kids are screaming, but we all have to let everybody else know that those around us have been where we are probably at some point. Which brings me to my last thing that you have on the list here, which is checking in on your friends, on your other family members, maybe people that you go to church with or parents of some of your friends' kids. That's really, really important right now, too, to just let them know somebody is thinking of them.
I was just talking to Laura about this earlier, that we remember that as much as this era that we're going through right now is stressful and we're missing out on things and we have to adapt and make so many adjustments, it's also kind of comforting and inspiring to realize that everybody around us, locally, regionally, nationally, globally, is feeling the same kinds of things that you're feeling. And there's something about that feels powerful, that as that common humanity, that shared suffering, if you will, brings us together. And I really appreciate that idea about intentionally reaching out to people. And just like laughter, gives us all of those good feels and boosts our mood, so does reaching out to other people and just letting them talk and listening to them and then talking back and saying, I know, me too. And it just feels good to just connect and know. So I really, really do appreciate that. And serving others, the greatest gift you can give to someone is your time and your genuine attention, asking them how they're doing and really listening. And that can do a world of good for somebody.
And I think Christmas cards are making a comeback. I have gotten more Christmas cards this season than I think I have gotten in the last 10 years combined, because people are taking the time now to sit and think thoughtfully who they want to send them to. All of the ones I have gotten were not pre-printed, like they didn't have any idea who it was going to. There were little notes at the bottom. Can't wait to see you in 2021. Let's make a coffee date for March. Things along those lines. I love getting stuff in the mail. We forget, because of email and everything else, again, that we've gotten used to, how cool it is to just get something in the mailbox.
Yes.
It seems like it's become even more powerful now because people don't take the time to write a handwritten note because they can text you or email you or Marco Polo you or Twitter you. I don't know. This could go on for another 5 minutes, but they don't take the time to handwrite a note. And so just like Tiffany said, there's nothing more powerful that you can do for another person than to express genuine connection, concern, compassion for them, and to really listen to their responses if you are asking them how they're doing. It's not just it's not a rhetorical question. You're really asking how they're doing.
And then, like you
know the answer.
And like you do, Laura, watch their faces, because you'll be able to tell if they say, oh, I'm fine, and they're really not. So really be connected and engaged when you're asking those questions so you can get to the real answer.
Yeah. And that's Absolutely. A good point. And if you're really not fine, there's help out there. Because sometimes we can read a checklist and we can do all these things and we can try all these things and we still just don't feel better. And so it's important to reach out. I know that Valley Health offers these services. I know you always post links and information to help people out. There are so many providers in the community now that are doing telemedicine and using these platforms and making it really user-friendly for people to reach out. So just like we have a little bit more time, perhaps if we're quarantined, to do some of these things, we might also have some time to do some self-care.
And that's important now, too, more than ever, I think, during the holidays. So, ladies, thank you both for taking some time out of your day to come and give me these tips.
Of course. You're welcome.
Absolutely.
Did you see that, Laura? She didn't nod her head that time. She just answered like it was a normal response.
Really
we
thought
have
through
to
that.
celebrate the small things.
Yeah.
We have to celebrate those.
If only my puppies were that easy. If they caught on that quickly, I would be in such heaven right now.
Oh, that's a nice compliment.
We are going to wrap up our conversation today for our community health series in partnership with Valley Health. We have been chatting with Laura Walls. She is with Behavioral Health Senior Outpatient Services at Shenandoah Memorial Hospital. Joining us on the Zoom screen has also been Tiffany Markwood. She is with Behavioral Health in Winchester. I will put all of these tips up on the show notes page so that if you want to send them to a friend or a family member and say, hey, Janet told me to do this, you have proof that Janet told you to do this. I will meet you back here tomorrow. I will have a brand new episode of The Valley Today ready to go for you just a few minutes after noon. Meet me here then.